trio and the fight to represent EU on the biggest stage, rather, of them all. 0-2. Schalke 04 has been shocked, has been stunned, because it is Splyce that is up 2-0 and on the brink of qualifying for Worlds. And it's been 3 years for Splyce since their first Worlds appearance. And now Kobbe and crew are just 1 win away. I have to say, after yesterday's performance, what is going on here, Frosk?
Well, for me, it looks like Xerxe had his Wheaties and he showed up to play. He looks like a completely different animal. I love even taking something hyper-aggressive like the Trundle and the Olaf matchup and getting in Trick's face and contesting those types of buffs. Yesterday, it wasn't the case for Xerxe. He felt like he was definitely playing on the back foot, that he kind of faded into the background, but his Nocturne game, his Olaf games look clean today.
I'll go further and say it seems like it's different for everyone on the Rift for Splyce. They all seem to have woken up and are playing completely differently to get back to Worlds.
It's crazy sometimes in a team environment. Sometimes you just miss one piece, and all of a sudden, all those things that you're doing good start to show up. Because even though we can highlight Xerxe in his early game plays, all of a sudden we see Splyce diving the bottom lane. They're doing plays together. Humanoid is actually interacting, and Splyce is doing actual things, and instead of just waiting for the late game.
I actually really love that he brings up the dive, and I know this is kind of like an off-tangent topic, but Tahm Kench. We got to see a Tahm Kench today from Norskeren, and in the LPL, when they pick Tahm Kench, they actually pick it to dive because he's so good at absorbing the tower aggro. And to see Splyce take what they thought was going to be a hyper-defensive bot lane in that Jinx Tahm Kench and then actually attack with it and pull off a dive with the Roam from Humanoid, I'm like, yes, Splyce, everyone is online. Humanoid's popping off, Xerxe's looking great, and even Norskeren and Kobbe have completely stabilized and neutralized upset IgNar.
Great point about everyone stepping up, indeed. And I want to talk about Humanoid first and foremost. In his first year in the LEC, this guy might make Worlds. And I have to say, for me specifically, I think Humanoid has had some fantastic moments, but hasn't always convinced me. But he is stepping up when it matters the most.
I think so far this series has highlighted why Akali was banned so many of the games yesterday, because he was on that Corki all day yesterday, didn't play anything that explosive, but Humanoid got that lead with that TP, saw his opportunity, and ever since that point, you saw the confidence growing in him, and all of a sudden he's just engaging first, diving the towers, and continuing to extend his lead. This is my favorite play right here. Oof.
It was so cleanly done from Humanoid as well. I mean, you look anywhere and everyone's doing exactly what their job was, but the fact that Humanoid immediately turns around, goes back in, and is able to clean up this fight on the backside, just to echo that sentiment, Akali. The draft priority needs to be on this champion right now. I think Schalke have had a misread on kind of what their effective champions are. They reached for the Qiyana in game number 1. I don't think they're putting enough priority on Akali, especially when Abba can also play this champion to such a high degree. And it works so well against these teams' play styles. Again, usually with Schalke, if you play front to back, you get your tank line in front of you, you just let upset walk through people, they're fine. But when you're facing an Akali who can cause so much chaos, get into that back line and disrupt everything, suddenly Schalke are really falling apart before they even get to their team fighting phase.
Yeah, even before they get to the mid game, and this is where, Yamato, you've been talking about Xerxe so much, and the fact that he was a shadow of what he can be yesterday in that first best of 5. Today, a different story.
For sure. The first game on the Nocturne, loved the pick. Ilias put it in a very nice way that he just farmed till 6 and started to have action. I think it's much more than that because, you know, otherwise everyone would just pick Nocturne. Nocturne was a fantastic pick into the cannon. All of a sudden we see that creativity. Here we have another replay of the Nocturne coming in for the counter gank, and that's perfect because Splyce managed to stabilize the bot lane. Xerxe was activated, and these are the things that we're looking for in the Splyce that we recognize from the regular season.
It's complementing the brain power of Xerxe that we always love to talk about. The fact that he is such a creative pathing jungler, that it's right place, right time, that he knows how to read weak side, strong side of the map, and anticipate what the enemy is going to do. And with a champion like Nocturne, with such a long-range ultimate, you then get to see Xerxe's pathing, kind of his mind games really shine as he's able to dissect and download his opponent and then show up at the perfect time for the counter gank.
And then to connect this to our pre-series expectations, we talked so much even yesterday about the marksmen and the bot lanes in general, and not only that they play in an isolated way, but that they get the help from the rest of the team. Xerxe has been putting a lot of attention domination in that bottom lane. And Kobbe and Norskeren have said, thank you very much, we're going to run with it, and that's paying off for Splyce.
And it's so important, again, because you know that Schalke are going to try to attack you through the 2v2. That's where a lot of the action really starts from in that bot side river. So Kobbe and Norskeren could not collapse in this bot lane, otherwise the rest of the map would follow very soon after. So again, emphasis on the fact that not only are they neutralizing Upset and IgNar, they're beating them. And they are getting a lot of help from Xerxe and Humanoid making those roams. So it's not like Upset and IgNar are just getting blown out of the water. But some of these champion matchups, you know, taking the Leona into Thresh, I start to question some of the compositions that are being put together in that 2v2.
I think Splyce have just done wonderful preparation. The first matchup that we saw was Tristana, Leona into Kai'Sa Thresh. Picking Leona, you can't really do much against the Thresh unless you get level 6. We saw that timer, but Nocturne's already 6, Gangplank ulted. Second game, we had Jinx Tam versus Thresh. Once again, a matchup that kind of relies on jungle interaction. But Trick has been getting destroyed.
It has, and with that, the rest of his team, and Upset is one of those people we were looking at. The best AD carry to never make Worlds from Europe. Is he going to do it now? The boys in blue have chosen blue side going into this possible final game. They'll have to complete a reverse sweep. Tell me, for Schalke, who has been trying to get to Worlds since the inception of their organization, now again on the brink of being knocked out of the gauntlet, what can they do to turn it around?
It means that someone other than Upset needs to step up. Upset hasn't been able to play his game because the games are ending before he is a factor for them. Schalke have had a couple of good punches, but none of them are really landing. So I need other members to step up. Trick and Abba in particular, they need to match the pressure that Xerxe and Humanoid are outputting on this map if you even want to see Upset get to shine in that mid game.
I think it starts with the draft because, as you highlighted, Trick, I don't think the Trundle pick worked out. I don't think the Qiyana pick worked out. We need to see him back on those tanks that can set up those ganks in the bottom lane. On top of that, I want to see Upset and IgNar in a matchup where they kind of set themselves up, because I think Splyce had very good preparation with the Tamkin. It was a pick that no one really expected. It was like the cast was like, what is this champion? We don't want to see it. Doesn't really promote aggression, but instead it kind of did. So I think if they come into this game, first pick Akali, maybe a Sejuani in there, drop the Karma because it hasn't been working, maybe a Rumble Cannon that has some kind of engage potential, and all of a sudden you have those mid-game fights that Schalke shine in, because that's what I want to see.
Rumble, Jarvan, Akali. Go.
Go there with your first pick is what Froskurinn is saying for Schalke 04. Backs against the wall, do or die for Schalke. And Splyce, one game away from Worlds. Let's see what happens.
Of course, pressure on for both of these lineups. Splyce just need to close it out cleanly. Can't afford to stumble here. Victory right in front of them. They just have to win this one. But for the side of Schalke, a devastating series so far. You heard, honestly, just tons of reasons why things are going on from Schalke. But the bottom line is something has to change here. Once again, blue side coming in for Schalke 04. Can they get something done in this pick and ban phase?
Excellent question. Let's find out. As we jump into Game 3 draft between Schalke and Splyce, as you heard on the analyst desk, Schalke remain on the side of blue. Yuumi will be the very first ban. They're going to continue to take that one away. Do they ban away the Qiyana? Given that they clearly do not want to prioritize it, yep, that's going to continue to be taken off the boards.
If they go Gragas here, I will be very sad. I think ban the Akali or take the Akali. Those are your options.
There it is.
There you go. Okay, so something's changed. Question is, what's the follow-up? I personally think they should take consider taking GP or getting GP out of there, because Vizicsacsi and Odoamne, neither one of them are really doing anything in these games. The difference is the GP gets to do nothing and ult a different lane.
That's true. Yep, but then of course they concede the Kai'Sa, which they probably don't want to do either. A lot of picks available. Sylas, and the thing is, I think they don't have to worry about Sylas too much. Clearly it's a pick that Splyce don't heavily prioritize. With the Akali gone, maybe it's just something that Humanoid grabs for himself in the mid lane.
Interesting now, though. They've banned the Rakan rather than the Xayah, saying, hey, if you want to first pick the Kai'Sa, we'll just take the Xayah. We're happy to trade 1-for-1 here, maybe making Schalke feel a bit more comfortable to pick something else. Obviously, a lot of potential options up and available, but you're playing directly into Splyce's hands. They deliberately left that champion open, so have to hope that Schalke knew this one was coming and can plan around it accordingly.
So Kai'Sa plus Sylas is what you would typically expect, given how the meta and how the series has played out. However, Splyce usually don't put a huge amount of priority on the Sylas pick, so we'll see if they do decide to go for it, but I think it would be a valuable pick for them.
And interesting too, because we've seen a lot of different AD carries over the course of this series. Kai'Sa appears to be the constant outside of the Tristanas and the Jinxes.
Oh,
But
of course, we
Gragas-
completely forgot about the Gragas. Yes, yes, yes. That makes the most sense, because when you replace the Akali, you're going to grab the Gragas.
You don't just
One
get
of
more
versus-
bans.
Yeah, yeah. I like this pick. Of course, Schalke going to respond with the Sylas themselves. I think that it's a good answer. We are seeing the hover of the Lee Sin.
Come on.
Is Trick going to go for it?
It's difficult. You can see that they've been hesitating this entire series on whether or not they want to grab it. I have to wonder what the right choice is going to be. This is, in my
Just a
opinion,
lot of
very
hovers
early
right now.
Yasuo.
Schalke want to keep their draft open, available by locking in the Olaf.
Oh, died. I'm going to be honest, Vedius, there's a lot to be said analytically. I know Olaf is very strong, but Trick on Olaf does not lead to wins for Schalke. He performs very well individually, but he needs CC, and he does not have it.
Well, expectations now fall on finding an early game advantage, and it feels like Splyce are getting everything that they want. Gangplank going to be secured in the top lane as well. I think Olaf can be a fine matchup into the Gragas, but of course the Gragas is going to scale better later on into the game. Gragas also has very strong burst damage early on, so I feel like Splyce aren't too worried about this. They just have to be very careful about the early levels and see if Schalke try to set anything up at level 1, level 2, level 3.
And I want to call back to something that we saw at the start of the day before this match even kicked off as we entered the second ban phase. Kai'Sa, Gragas, GP. All three on Yamato's dream comps for both sides. Splyce have 3 of the 5 for the dream comp. So Schalke, new picks, have to show us something more because what you expected to be powerful in the series is all on the side of Splyce at this moment.
So, Splyce, remember that they do get first pick of support. They may choose to ban away the Thresh here and then go for the Nautilus themselves if they want to. Oh, the Blitzcrank ban I also respect. IgNar, known for his mainly known for his Blitzcrank, but also known for his Leona, which he showcased in Game 1. But Splyce did a great job of dealing with that. Does suggest that Splyce may very well just go for the Thresh priority. Both Nautilus and Thresh are up and available. It depends which one Splyce would prefer to get for themselves. A little bit more tankiness, a little bit more crowd control overall in the team fights, or maybe a little bit more peel as well, given that you do have both the Thresh ultimate and the Lantern to take someone to safety should they need.
And we've seen pretty solid performances from Norskeren on both of those champions. I personally prefer the Nautilus with the Kai'Sa, a lot of kill power on the bottom side, but taking away the ability for Xayah to take a Lantern out in a high-pressure situation does do a lot. It will be the Nautilus in the end, and Schalke now have to finish their composition. Obviously, the Sylas already committed to the mid lane, or at least we can expect. Would not be surprised to see ADC pressure's on, give Odoamne a playmaker he's played in the past. If we see the Karma, honestly, I'll be a little sad. I know it's very powerful with the Olaf, but just has not had an impact yet.
He could also just do something like an Aatrox. You know, try and play through top lane. It's not a style that Schalke typically take advantage of, but I think that they should try and get a matchup that can generate a lot more pressure. Gnar, I don't think is necessarily that. I understand why you would go for the Gnar, very similar to Karma. You do have a range advantage. You can set up for dives, and he offers value in later game team fights. But yeah, this once again suggests to me that Schalke are not looking to play around the top side of the map, much more focused on playing around bot. Wow, and we're going to see the Camille locked in. You would imagine this must be Camille in the mid lane. I definitely was not expecting that.
And this is honestly something we haven't seen. The Akali's been available for so long. We've just been seeing Sylas Akali over and over again this playoff series. But now with the Akali banned,
I mean, even Corki is something that you would kind of expect to come out from Splyce. Do you know what I mean? Like, Corki, Gangplank, Kai'Sa is like a Splyce draft. Yeah, but they're going for Camille.
And it's not like they had any reason to to hold anything back yesterday. They went full 5 games.
Yeah.
So I do wonder if they just are incredibly brave and didn't pull this out yesterday, didn't think it would work against Nuke Duck, or if this is something new and Humanoid is just a confidence pick, but definitely going to have to see. Not paired with Sejuani, which is what we'd normally see.
That's the best thing about it, Drakos. The last time we saw a Camille was when we saw the Camille mid with Sejuani jungle, and that duo makes a lot of sense. Now, I'm not familiar with how Camille matches up against a Sylas, and I'm really interested to see how this plays out, but clearly, Humanoid is confident in the matchup, and that's ultimately all that matters. He feels that you can win in the 1 versus 1. You definitely will outscale in the side lane.
And right now, we're on match point for Splyce. They can afford to take risks like this. If it works in the early game, they snowball, they win, they get to Worlds, that's easy. If they lose a game, yes, they lose momentum. It is an important thing in series, but it is okay for them to take some risks like this. On the other side, Schalke, this is their last chance. If this draft does not work out, everything ends here for this team. This is it, ladies and gentlemen. Everyone out there. Splyce 2-0 up, match point. A win here will send them to Worlds. Tomorrow they will face Fnatic to find out who will be Europe's 2nd seed, who will be Europe's 3rd seed. But for Schalke, this is it. They do not win. They go home. They wait till next year. We see what roster they end up with. So many things can change in the offseason. This might be the last time you see these 5 players play together.
Okay, so we're seeing the Trick Ward once again. We saw this in Game 1. Gives information as to where Xerxe is starting. A very common Gragas path is red buff or Raptors into then red buff Krugs into basically just doing a full topside clear. You can then go for an early base to grab the Predator boots, or you can continue by doing a full clear. By dropping the ward in the top lane, what it allows Trick to do is gain information on what Xerxe is doing. You can, of course, adapt your path. You can start with the red and then path towards doing a full bot side clear. It very much depends on where you want to draw your focus early on into the game. But Splyce, they responded well by putting that ward in the tri-brush, so they know that Schalke know. So now it's about whether or not they want to give that information away, as neither bot laner looks to give a pull for their jungler, so they want to try and get that push, get that early level 2 as quickly as possible.
And we're in a situation where I feel like all eyes have to be on Trick. Definitely the Olaf pretty much expected to win most jungle matchups. The theoretical mid to late game impact much higher on the side of the Gragas. Obviously can gank aggressively a lot, but you're just not going to win these duels versus the Olaf. So I feel like this is Trick's time. You either get to pop off and win a game for your team, or you do nothing, and your season just ends.
Yep. So we get to see a bit of the mid lane matchup. One of the cool things for Camille in the mid lane is she has these 4 walls that she can utilize her E on to have easy setup on the stun. Often when we saw Camille in the past, and sometimes just when we see Camille in lane, she does like to run Comet if she wants to go for a little bit more of a harass matchup, but because she's playing into a melee matchup, she can afford to run the grass because, of course, you can get those auto attack trades in. But still prioritizing the W investment early, so you still have that poke, extra bit of wave clear, and we can see that early priority is in fact going in favor of Humanoid, and he's actually winning out on a lot of these trades. Oh, let's also not forget that you do get that passive shield every now and then, which will also help you match it against Abbedagge, who he won't gain the same value from his E-shield that Humanoid will.
And long trades, of course, on the side of Abbedagge might be favorable for him, but it's very easy for Humanoid to get in and get out. And just do the hookshot wall dive right into the midst of your face. And very difficult actually for Abbedagge to respond, as Abscond Abduct, if you want to combine both together, has quite a long cast time. Probably not enough time to interrupt the wall dive. Abbedagge definitely not working out in these trades. 2 stacks to 1 on the Corrupting Potion. Important to keep track of those.
The wave is in a really good spot right now, but Abbedagge hanging around the top side of the wave makes it a little difficult for Xerxe. He's going to have to invest his flash if he wants to make this play happen. Abbedagge getting very close to the wall.
Do not walk any further down. Walk topside, topside. All right, he's going to be okay. Level 4 coming out as well is going to start to walk down too. Has a bit of vision, or rather, Splyce have a bit of vision, so they know exactly where he is. But the ward being placed will reveal Gragas. Abbedagge will now know that he needs to stay on the top side of the lane, but in the meantime, the Lantern, it's going to pull him back. Trick now in the midst of the entire team. This is exactly the fight that they wanted to start off. Norskeren walking away. He's not going to be able to get a beautiful flash forward from Trick to body block the hook and secure first blood for Schalke.
So, really great play from the bot side of the map coming out from Schalke. We expected Trick to try and make plays around the mid or bot lane, and he starts by going bot. IgNar flashes in to set up the hook onto Norskeren. The very big body of Nautilus can't really do much to avoid it. And it ends up resulting in first blood, so Schalke already off to a good start.
And the first time it really feels like Schalke have been ahead in terms of an early game. It is a small lead, but one that we have to keep our eyes on. And you can see very classic Thresh play, the Flash play plus Lantern. It feels just like a season, 3, season 4 Mata classic.
And you can see the flash in front of Norskeren here coming out from Trick as well to deny the ability of Norskeren landing that hook and potentially getting to safety.
And
so,
Odoamne
smells invested.
Also smashing topside as well, so one thing starts to go well for Schalke, but not just one, a lot of things across the map is starting to build some CS advantage. No TP burn by either side, and Abbedagge very comfortable against Humanoid, so Camille pick looked okay early on, but now not winning out in a lot of these trades, and for the first time this entire series, things look pretty good for the side of Schalke.
Vizicsacsi getting very low. His base being interrupted. He wants to reset right now. So yeah, Splyce at a slight deficit. Unfortunately for Xerxe, he wasn't able to make his first gank work out in the mid lane. I imagine he'll continue to look for ganks in the mid lane. It does feel like that there is a decent amount of gank setup with the Camille, especially once she gets her ultimate available as well. But we'll keep track. So far, the mid lane going heavily in favor of Humanoid. He's built up a pretty sizable CS advantage. That early harassment that he was putting down very clearly working out in his favor. Both he and Abbedagge will hold on to their teleport, so should a fight break out anywhere, they'll be able to very quickly join.
Well, some of the trades at the back end of this laning phase, at least level 4, level 5, are starting to go in the favor of Abbedagge, but CS, as you mentioned, very much in favor of Humanoid. Now that he goes back, picks up double longswords, maybe things continue to go in his favor. Good bit of damage down. Adaptive defense is not going to amount to much. The stun connects now, an axe goes in. Hookshot wall dive out to safety. A bit of damage, but the slow will go down. Good escape from Humanoid, but very close to death there.
So you can also see how easy it is for the champion to escape any ganks. Even though Sylas was able to land everything, still wasn't quite enough. Didn't use his ultimate to lock the Camille down. Still going to be fine now. Xerxe has spotted out Abbedagge.
They can try to go for a play here. Channeling Predator goes over the wall, wants to get something. Gone, abduct, and use the Gragas ult to get himself right out of that play, but forcing the ult early, going to make sure the Humanoid has a laning advantage at least. Meanwhile, the bottom side, Nautilus is dead. Trick is now coming up. Gonna have to get a replay on that one. Action across the map. Schalke attacking multiple points at this moment.
And so, we were a little bit worried seeing Schalke lock in the Olaf. Could he find an early game advantage for his team? He hadn't been able to do it so far this series. Xerxe really did have his number, but here in game 3, when the chips really are down, Schalke is now coming up clutch, and Trick finds another successful gank in the bot side of the map.
And this is the kind of Trick IgNar synergy we were hoping for, playing very well together. We can see, I think, another Lantern. No.
So the hook just misses. Of course, Norskeren has no flash, so he gets run down. He has nothing that he can really hook jump to either with his Q. So he just has to concede his life, and Trick literally just ran it.
And that's all it takes, honestly. Feels like in the past we've seen a bit more respect paid to the Olaf, but Splyce potentially over-eager there. Maybe didn't have perfect information on exactly where Trick is, but you can see 1-0-1 now this close to the Schalke jungler. As you mentioned, finally having one of those solid performances we were waiting for. Still, a bit of an advantage for Schalke on the top side of the map. This is a bit of a disadvantage for them in the mid, as Humanoid still pretty far ahead in terms of overall CS. Level 7 now, maybe get something done here.
Teleport was used from Upset. Kobbe used his TP just a little bit earlier, building up a decent lead in the bot side of the map. BF plus Scorpion's Warhammer now completed for Upset, put him in a very solid position. Trick also hitting level 6, while Xerxe still only level 5. And I'm surprised the Schalke didn't take the Drake earlier on. I felt like there were many opportunities for them to do so. But I wonder if they're going to start things off now.
It's interesting, too, because Schalke normally are a team that goes for these objectives very consistently when they have an edge, and there it is.
This is still fine. This is still fine. You know, they have the bot push now. They have the prio in mid as well. So a very easy take, especially with Xerxe on the top side. Is he looking for a gank? Oh, it looks like he is actually going to try and make something happen onto Odo here.
Only going to get a single bounce. It's going to be a body slam. Goes in, gets it easy. Flashes right into the GP ult. Have to wonder if that one's worth it, but a quick pickup beside of Splyce.
So Odoamne, I'm going to struggle a little bit, as Gangplank is only going to get stronger and stronger as the game progresses, but that'll be fine as long as Schalke can continue to play through their bot lane. You can see Upset, for the first time in this series, has a pretty sizable gold lead over his lane counterpart. Picking up 2 plates in the bot lane and a couple of kills means that he is now the primary position.
Humanoid now going to be in trouble. He's going to use his own ult to push Trick back, and then hookshot wall dive out. Well played, but it does not matter. Olaf just runs right at your face. One more axe, not enough. Good escape by Humanoid, forced to burn everything in the trade.
Patient play once again from Humanoids. Good utilization of his ultimate.
Abbedagge, don't do it. Has to get out. I've seen Abbedagge die too many times to tier 1 mid lane tower, Vedius. It's my greatest fear, and it's in a clutch moment that he's just going to go in. But we'll hold off, we'll back off. Humanoid, though, despite receiving a lot of attention, still playing with a lot of confidence. Seeker's arm guard on the side of Sylas means he won't take quite as much damage, but it also means he has a lot less kill threat onto a champion like Camille.
So Schalke have a slight early game gold advantage. I'm sure that they would love a larger one, but they haven't really been able to convert it into that much more aside from a couple of plates bot. The 2v2 still doing fairly well between Kobbe and Norskeren. Even though Norskeren has been dying, you can see that he's been farming exceptionally well. IgNar now has the boots of mobility, looking for a roam. He is just going to get spotted out in the mid lane though, as the Herald is going to be started up by Trick. Abbedagge going to come to assist with that, but this also immediately guarantees priority bot lane. Now this is the very conventional trade that we often see, where you can see the bot side of the map, but you've already secured some plates. Now you know they're not going to take it as quickly as you will be able to take top, so now the immediate response should be to actually throw the Rift Herald top lane or even mid lane. But they're choosing not to do that, so they're just going to give some plates over for free for now.
And of course, Trick finally going to back. It had been a while now, able to finish the Warrior, grab a Ruby Crystal for himself as well. And has the Herald too, so overall feels like a worthwhile trade inside of Schalke. The flash forward from Norskeren though, getting things kicked off. That was a bit ambitious.
Yeah.
Feels like you got the call. Xerxe's like, we're ready to go. Norskeren says, I hear you, we're going. You know, Leroy Jenkins moment. The team is not ready, but you go for it anyway.
Yeah. We can see, I'm sure there was some kind of communication there, or there was...
The Predator was popped.
Yeah.
You know.
So I'm not just going to blame Norskeren. I'm sure there was some element of setup, and his team wasn't in a position to follow. But yeah. Burns his flash, doesn't really convert it into much. Unfortunate there for Norskeren. Now Trick back in the bot lane. Oh wow, he's actually going to use it bot.
This is, you know, we talk about bot focus, but they're just honestly just giving it to us at this point. Are going to be able to move in here. Look to take down a few plates. Not going to go solo gold over to Upset.
Is he going to ult away?
Waiting. Okay, so you can see Upset stepping forward there into the GP ult to make sure that he gets the gold. Looks like he's actually the only beneficiary of that local gold. So 360 in his pocket on the back of that Herald play earlier. I think it was traded for 2 plates to Kobbe though, so overall pretty net neutral, but he had already grabbed the 2 plates earlier, and you can see the difference in the gold now, about 300 in the lead.
Yeah, I mean, Splyce have slowly been closing the gold gap. Remember that Schalke had about a 1k gold lead, and now it's only down to about 300, 400. And for Schalke, when you're drafting this Olaf, it's quite important that you just keep the momentum going. Now, that's not to say that they're just going to fall off hard into the late game, right? They still have scaling options available to them. Xayah is going to be a strong carry, but
Olaf won't be.
No, and this is the thing. I always think of Gragas as someone that's always going to offer more value later on into the game. And you mentioned it in the draft, Drakos, which is very much about Kai'Sa, Gangplank, Gragas. An almost ideal trio for Splyce to get. And they got it in the first rotation of the draft as well. So they know they have scaling on their side. They know they have a Kai'Sa that in the late game is going to be a monster. And Kobbe, honestly, has had a great series overall. And I would imagine that a Camille is going to continue to scale up and will be a massive either side lane threat and maybe even outscale Sylas in a team fight. I'm yet to know. We'll find out later on to the game, but I can be pretty confident in the 1v1. He's already had the Sylas' number during the laning phase, so you can imagine that's only going to get better as time progresses. And now they set up the dive.
Goes in. Sylas going to try to make his way out here. He's not going to get a chance to steal an ultimate. Trick goes in, walks forward, but the tank from the tower comes in. Hookshot his way out. Little Spider-Man for Norskeren. Odoamne now on the chase. Norskeren most likely set to fall here. Axe is picked up. No, goes golden.
He's gonna.
I think he's still dead. All right, they're going to take him down in the end. He's hoping for a heroic cookout to safety. But meanwhile, we take a look at the top side of the map, and Kobbe is taking plates. But Schalke still trying to up the tempo of this game, trying to fish for a little bit more as plates start to fall. But a good barrel from the Gragas will stop that push in its tracks.
So while it was a 1-for-1 overall, Schalke secured bot tower, giving them first tower blood. They do lose a couple plates top, but they also get some more in mid, and they'll convert it into a mana drake. So I feel like the net gain is heavily in favor of Schalke, and they might even be looking, they're not going to hard commit to that one. But yeah, I think Schalke is the main benefactor of that series of events.
The mountain will go down as well, so Schalke starting to build up advantages. Less than 1k gold overall, but still making their mark on the map, holding on to a lead for now. For high pressure for Schalke. It is do or die for them. Splyce have the luxury of making 1 or 2 mistakes, something that they earned for themselves winning those first 2 games, but want to close out here, want to close out cleanly as they move on to, potentially could move on, rather, to face Fnatic tomorrow.
I'll be honest, Drakos. We had 2 thrilling games. And I was revitalized. You know, I could feel the Splyce energy. It felt like that they really came online in this series, and now the game is slow down a little bit more. Again, you know, we talked about it in the draft. It's like the Splyce perfect draft, so I'm not really sure what I was expecting.
It's 4 out of 5, to be fair. We have budget Akali in the mid lane, otherwise we're 5 for 5.
But I mean, I'm not saying that this is the wrong style of play. I'm not trying to flame Splyce. It's just, you know, we had a lot of exciting games. Now very different. Oh, here we go. IgNar.
IgNar thought he, no. IgNar gonna have to flash up to safety there. He definitely thought he was ganking, but was definitely the one being ganked. And that means that Ward will go down. Trick is here as well. A fight might break out. That was a bit eager on the Chilling Smite, but will force Humanoid away. So both sides a little bit keen to skirmish, but neither one wants to do the full-on 3v3. And Trick still very much strong at this point in the game. It's not really a phrase, very much strong, but...
So as a reminder to everyone, oh, dive. 3 versus 2, TPs up for pretty much everyone. Nope, they're not going to go for it. But reminder for everyone, Wolves is on the line. Hook lands, here we go.
Together over the walls, Xerxe forced out, quick flash.
All right, good flash burn there. This is just giving more map pressure in favor of Schalke. They're going to have the push in the mid lane because no one is there to answer right now. They're forced to catch bot wave. The Gangplank starting to scale up. Here we are.
Wait, they didn't push in for that ward because they didn't have information on where everyone is. They are going to push in for that one.
They're going for top. They want top. Kobbe forced to answer. The Gangplank has to move to mid to answer that one as well. So Schalke, they have way more map control right now. But some items starting to come through. The Trinity Force now finished for the Gangplank. That's a pretty good spike. Trinity Force quite a way off for Humanoid. Have a quick look at how much gold he's sitting. So he can complete his second component. Should be able to pick up the Sheen relatively soon. But once he gets that Trinity Force, that's it, man. That's when the fights start. That's when I'm ready. Abbedagge, he wants to wait for those items too. So we're chilling. I mean, just a lot of back and forth now. A lot of map movements. Again, we can see the Sylas roaming up. Just want to put some pressure down onto the tower.
So taking tower, Abbedagge can walk in and steal Camille ult if he wants to. Ultimate force out for Xerxe, just trying to clear the wave. They're going to deny the dive. The GP just allowing them to slow this game down on the side of Splyce. Maybe expected to see them play a little bit faster, but of course, now that they're behind, can just stall out so much with the GP ultimate.
Well, remember that much more responsibility falls on the side of Trick in order to try and snowball Schalke's lead. And 17 minutes in, they do have a lead, and they're utilizing pressure quite well right now. But as you said, Splyce doing everything they can to slow the game down as much as possible. This will be another outer tower going in favor of Schalke, so they do extend the goal lead just a little bit more. But you have to constantly be thinking about these item spikes. You can see Kobbe, 2 items now done. He's going to be looking to stack up that Mana, or Mana Mune rather. I always get the two confused. He's about halfway done right now, so still a way off. So Splyce very happy keeping the game in this kind of state, where it's just slow, easy, chill, maybe read a book, have a cup of tea.
Vedius, I'm so sad because...
Don't be sad, my friend.
We said after game 1. This is why I'm sad.
Don't be sad.
I don't mind.
It's Splyce. They can't qualify towards without playing the Splyce Classic.
Yeah, it wouldn't be a Splyce here. They gotta get one in.
They gotta get one.
They're like, hey guys, we can play fast, but shout out to all the Splyce fans out there. This one's pretty
This one's for you.
Well, I prepped a lot of Nocturne facts to try to engage you, but
sad.
they haven't picked him again.
I have so many great Nocturne facts.
Game 4.
Like, for example,
Game 4.
did you know that he is in fact the living embodiment of a nightmare? He is not in fact a shadow.
Do you know what his occupation is, as listed on the wall?
Did you say occupation?
His occupation.
Probably
his professional occupation.
Scary stabby guy?
Demon of Nightmares, but Scary Stabby Man is quite close.
Demon of Nightmares. Wait, but he is a nightmare, so how can he be the demon of the nightmares?
No, he's a demon made of nightmare. I don't know. I read a bunch, like, in the break, I read like 3 different Nocturne short stories, not all of which are by Riot, so I don't really know what's real information anymore. We're on the Nocturne fanfic website. Got a little weird. We don't talk about it. Some people were into it. I don't know. What do you want from me, audience? I'm just saying.
Oh, dive. Here we go.
Moment of truth. The Gangplank ultimate stolen away. Abbedagge leaps forward. Still not exactly coming out on top of this trade, but that's a stolen GP. They're trading. It's ult for ult.
Look, Schalke's coming. They're coming for the collapse from mid lane.
Odoamne takes a huge amount of
good
hook. The play now comes in. Trick on the backside is exactly where they want to be. Xerxe desperately trying to disengage. He's going to get one. He's going to try to make it out. It will not happen. Schalke cleaning it up in the 2-for-1.
So it was Splyce who were trying to set up the dive in the top lane, but Schalke, they had push in mid, and after taking down that mid tower, were very quickly able to get the collapse down onto Splyce, so they find a successful kill, and this was very important for them, continuing to maintain control of the map, trying to escalate this goal lead even further is very much needed for them. You can see Upset now completing his second item, working on the BF sword as well. Very, very important team fight win for Sjokz. Here we can see the dive, no minion wave. Good clear out from Abbedagge. He goes to the 1v1 onto Vizicsacsi, and the TP comes in from the Gnar. Meanwhile, on the minimap, notice how 3 members are starting to rotate up from the side of Schalke. This is where the great hook comes in from IgNar. They have the vision trinket there to spot them out, and he's able to get this hook into the double play, into the box, forcing Vizicsacsi to flash out and allowing the chase to come down. Now, Xerxe, of course, is able to get 1 kill back at the very least, but Schalke, they get mid-tower, they find a kill, and all it costs them is a very low health tier 1 in the bot lane. So great play overall from Schalke.
And if you've been watching Schalke this season, this is pretty much exactly what you want to see. IgNar, Trick together being the catalyst for playmaking. Abbedagge being a strong individual contributor, upset Odoamne doing something similar. A stolen ulti is going in. The flash from Norskeren, though, trying to lock him up. Kobbe now on the retreat. Big snare comes through. Norskeren now knocked down. Actual ult is just a visual bug. Will not connect on Kobbe. Looks like it died with the Nautilus. Now, IgNar stepping forward, clearing out these barrels. And Schalke snowballing a lead. 2K. Studio audience very much in their favor. Studio audience, kind of hate that word. And Schalke going to grab a second Mountain Drake. We are very much on the precipice of a game 4 here. Schalke will not be denied.
Feels like Schalke starting to wake up right now. They just grouped up mid, ran it down, caught Splyce out of position. It was very easy to find a collapse. Another kill goes down onto Norskeren. As we can have a look back, notice here, Splyce trying to get some river control to set up for the Drake. Norskeren then walks forward to provide peel for Abbedagge. Of course, has to invest his flash and ultimate, which means that Schalke is able to find that pick. So good punish there coming out from Schalke. They converted into the Mana Drake, as you were saying, Drakos.
Odoamne has to be careful, though. Bidgewater can't just run him down. Mountain Drake as well, though. Has to go for the fight now. If he goes Mega, he's just instantly going to die. Now trying to finish him off. Bounce comes through. One more bullet. Shoot him. No! Denied! Killing spree comes through. Odoamne barely on the edge. Now the fight kicks off. That's going to be the ultimate coming out from Humanoid. Trying desperately to get something done. Xerxe looking for the disengage. Trick now taking down Kobbe. Going forward. Uses the ult, but the timing is just slightly off. It means that Abbedagge is going to be able to make it out on the back of that lantern. If you'd waited half a second to go in on Abbedagge, might have been able to get the kill.
Wow, ends up being a 2 for 3 in favor of Splyce there, even though they were at a numbers disadvantage. Vizicsacsi buying a lot of time for his team to join the fray and turn the fight into Splyce's favor. Let's have a look back at this one. So Vizicsacsi, he's just overextended here. Notice that the top lane is setting up a play to siege onto that tier 1 tower, but they have no vision control, allowing this flank to come in from the Olaf. Then everyone starts TPing into the action. The Camille actually buys so much time as well, and does so much damage on the backline. And then, as you said, Kobbe, the ring of the ultimate allows you to go to a number of places. He takes the more defensive route by going slightly further away and closer to the Gragas, but then that means that the lantern from IgNar is able to pull Abbedagge to safety. Could have been another kill for Kobbe. Doesn't quite find it, but Splyce coming back in this one.
But it's important now to remember the jungle difference that we heard earlier, because Wall Trick has been incredibly impactful, 3-1 and 3. We saw how much space Xerxe was able to buy for Kobbe in that fight. He's level 13, he's got 3 items, he's working towards the fully stacked mana immune, and the Kai'Sa only gets scarier. Olaf building Randuins, that's really not going to help against the AP damage that this Kai'Sa is going to be putting out.
This Camille is strong, and I'm surprised that Splyce playing so heavily around the Camille. I feel like they should invest more time in just leaving her to 1v1, because she should be very strong in those situations. I think that there are very few champions on the side of Schalke that can really outduel her at this point in the game. Maybe they want to wait for a second item to come through for her. Maybe the Xerxe Gauge for a little bit more defensibility. Maybe go for the Ravenous Hydra as well if you want more lifesteal. But there should be open access to the tower. Oh, bit of indecision, doesn't want to go for it. Okay, fair enough. I think you recognize that there are a bunch of Schalke members in the river and the rest of his team weren't available to assist, so... Oh, Abbedagge just missing that one.
It always feels bad. Last half a second, not able to stop the back. We do see the retreat here. Looks like it will be the Vamp Scepter, so the Ravenous Hydra. And if you're a fan of split push builds, you know that this pretty much distinctly means that it will be the 1-3-1 from the side of Splyce. Titanic generally considered much better in team fights for the extra survivability that gives you, because lifesteal, well, yeah, I mean, you either die or you live in team fights. The lifesteal usually just doesn't come into account on a melee champion. And honestly, Vedius, the Schalke, in the face of all this, in the face of a 2-0, have managed to stay pretty stone cold. The confidence in Trick to play this Olaf after so many times that it has backfired previously is good to see, and finally good to see it pay off for this team. The Nautilus ult is now stolen, and that's going to make any future team fights that much harder for the side of Splyce.
A lot of vision being set up around the Baron. Schalke do have a strong enough front line where they could tank this one out if in the event that they need to. But again, Splyce playing the conservative route. I like that they're... One of the biggest criticisms I had for Splyce yesterday was that they kept trying to take fights when they were scaling, and they didn't need to because it allowed the enemy team to find the skirmishes that they wanted to get ahead early. This time around, they're avoiding those, which means that they're just buying time and waiting. Once that Mana Munate is fully stacked into the Muramana, that's when Splyce can really be confident enough to go for the fight. Maybe they want to wait for the Ravenous Hydra on Humanoid, but they're fine in this situation. The goal gap is only 1k, so a lot more responsibility falls on Schalke to find those big fights, force those plays, and convert into an opportunity to make the reverse sweep a reality.
And it is now fully stacked and transformed, so Kobbe looking quite strong. Normally on AD Kai'Sa, you'd say that 2 items Kai'Sa is stronger, 3 items most crit AD carries are stronger, and at 4 Kai'Sa is stronger again. That was the old adage, but the build has honestly changed so much that I'm not sure. But one thing is certain, this Kai'Sa
strong.
She is very strong now, and can just shred through any of the tankier members. Odoamne, Trick, really anyone who's going to build any kind of health at all.
Tanky members.
Obliterated.
Kai'Sa. She's an assassin. Haven't you seen the new TFT patch notes? Ranger Assassin.
Ranger Assassin Void. Norskeren,
there comes TP.
He's in trouble. Caught out. TP now coming in. Odoamne with the YamatoCannon. He sees his hero moment. He leaps right back out to safety, though. Schalke now collapsing. Humanoid can just pick a single member off. Gnar is here. Trick has to be careful. The ultimate comes out. Trick can't actually rock out of this one. Or can he be pulled out? No. Huge damage now comes in. Buys a bit more time. The kill has gone down in the favor of Schalke. Trick now running for his life. Will get taken out by the side of Kobbe. Splyce have first access to the pit, nonetheless. Tankier members as well. They could try to start this one up. It's a big risk. Odoamne taking a huge chunk of life as well. Will Splyce pull the trigger here?
Well, I agree with you, Drakos. I think that it is very risky to go for the Baron right now, but Trick is dead. The smite is gone. Schalke are forced to reset and disengage. IgNar's back in base. They start this one off. They want to try and bait Schalke into the fight. Oh, they've looked...
Fishing for Abbedagge.
No, he's going to get it.
No, he's coming.
All right, so just a bit of a bait and switch. Teasing us, Drakos. Giving us a taster of what's to come.
But the gold, now very much even. And Gnar, as we get later in the game, does okay on a side lane with 2 items, but outside of that dream Mega Gnar scenario, isn't always going to be the most reliable champion in a team fight.
That was a good answer from Schalke there. I like that they just ran down mid after recognizing that there were a bunch of Spike members top. So here we see the engage from Humanoid. He tries to lock down Trick for his team to follow up. And that Gangplank ultimate was huge as well because it got so much damage down onto the duo bot lane of Schalke. But of course, the positioning of Schalke meant that they could very easily turn and throw all their damage down onto the Camille that dived in. Very squishy, of course. Which ends up being a 1-for-1. And then Splyce overstayed, cost him that tier 2 in the mid lane, and now we kind of reset back out to the map.
There's a bit of a disadvantage of the Ravenous Hydra as opposed to sitting on the Tiamat, maybe going for something like the Xerxe, as it's pretty easy to just pop that champion in a full-on team fight. And Upset continuing to get stronger and stronger. 3.5 items now, 4 for the side of Kobbe, however. The luxury of this AP build is there's just a lot of really good defensive items in terms of things that provide AP, both the Hourglass as well as potential Banshees. It does feel like it's necessary. A lot of AD, though, on the enemy team.
Ocean Drake is up. Splyce have control over it, but if they start it, there's the risk of Schalke immediately going to the Baron, so they don't want to for now. Both teams starting to group up in the mid lane. A fight to be brewing.
R, matey. A fight to be brewing.
So did you hear Medic's pirate joke yesterday?
I did. The favorite letter R, yeah.
Yeah, but it turns out that their favorite letter is actually C.
Okay, oh, yeah.
Yeah,
all right.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. That was wonderful, wonderful things. Abbedagge, almost level 16, so Sylas is going to be more terrifying as these fights kick off. I remain unconvinced by the Gnar. There's been a lot of Gnar GP.
Oh, he's even going for the split push build as well.
In the history of League of Legends, Vizicsacsi and Odoamne kind of came up in the Gnar GP meta. So interesting to see them play it now, like 4 years later. And Vedius.
A lot is on the line, remember. This is the potentially final game for Splyce. If they win this, they qualify for Worlds. They do have to play Fnatic tomorrow to determine seeding. If they can find a big upset against the likes of Fnatic, they go in as the second seed, means they don't have to go through play-ins.
And I believe the Gigabyte Marines qualified for plans early today. But, Hook, no. Which is always scary, because if anyone is going to ruin EU's chances of making it out of plans.
And let's not forget,
it's someone from
Fnatic's first game against the Gigabyte Marines, World 2017, with Levi's Nocturne.
Yeah.
Level 6 at like 4 minutes.
Absolutely terrifying to watch, but now Odoamne has to run for the hill. Huge damage from Humanoid, but he is still so very squishy. Upset, tearing through his health bar just as quickly as he tore through Odoamne's.
The feathers tear Kobbe apart. Kobbe? Humanoid, rather. He's forced to reset. He did lose his flash. Odoamne, nerves of steel, holds the line. Doesn't worry about anything. We're getting into the late game, down at Drakos. The gold is dead even. Tension is at its highest.
True, and double mountains for Schalke means that every option as we move later is a bit more accessible to them, whether it is the ocean, which after that will be the Elder Drake spawn.
Yeah, so I think it's actually better for Splyce if they don't take it. Just leave it up for as long as possible. I think Baron's going to be the main objective. I'm curious as to what breakpoint Splyce is now waiting for to try and force the fight. Maybe they want to go like full late game, maybe, because I feel like a lot of their components are done now. You can see Humanoid looks like he's working towards the Xerxe now, so maybe they want that first. All right, Schalke though going to start the Baron. Here we go. Splyce has to respond.
Trinket has now come down. GP ult used, but they might just be able to take it. They're going to be able to take it. Splyce, do they fall out for the fight? I think it's the reset. Camille's on the side. Vizicsacsi does so much damage. Odoamne, they're all backing out now. The cast does manage to connect. Kobbe moving in on the side. IgNar has been taken down. They're hunting for more. The TP coming in. Not sure why this is the moment that Camille chose the TP in. Vizicsacsi now caught up. The Xerxe goes in. Up6 going to be in trouble. The ultimate comes out. Tries to flash backwards. The Feathers are going to beat up. Kobbe has taken him out. The Baron may have gone down in the favor of Schalke, but Splyce are cleaning up the fight. Odoamne, the only member to keep that buff. The immediate TP down on the bottom side. Upset wants to speed this game up. Kobbe, rather. They might just look to get a little bit more here. Odoamne will be the lone holdout.
Only Odoamne is alive to hold the line against 5 members of Splyce. The Gangplank is TPing down as well. 3 members of Splyce in the mid lane. And Splyce, there's only a few towers left.
Hook connects. Cutting through. 24-second death counters. Remember, it's on the line. A Splyce win here, they go to Worlds. Vizicsacsi, 339 games. He has never been to Worlds, but he can do it right here. All it will take is a win, fight win. Odoamne, though, the rage is stacking. It's a big Gnar. He knocks him into the tower, but I don't think it's going to be enough. Kobbe still keeping his eyes set on the tower. Splyce moving in for a little bit more. 3rd in the regular season. Can they make it? 3 seconds on Upset, but the game might just end here. Upset will not be enough. Splyce should just end it. They still have the creeps. Upset, a hero play. It would take literally everything he has left. The Nexus falling lower and lower, and with an instant, Splyce do it. Splyce qualify for Worlds.
The elation on the faces of Splyce as their hard work finally pays off. 3-0 against the likes of Schalke. And they will qualify for the 2019 League of Legends World Championship.
Norskeren and Xerxe. Humanoid as well, their first time on the big stage. But most importantly, Vizicsacsi, after all of his years in the LEC, the EU LCS, has finally made it to the international stage. And Kobbe, once again, the franchise player from Splyce, will return to the world stage. Have to see what he can do this time around with this new lineup. In a pretty dominant 3-0 in the favor of Splyce.
Commiserations to Schalke once again. This was the situation they found themselves in last year, and they were unable to do it. Upset, a player that many have looked at as being one of the best ADs in Europe, will not be able to represent them on home soil at the World Championship this year. Big devastation for them, but only elation for the side of Splyce. So much work has gone into this team, so much growth. So many young players have shown so much development. And Yamato, his former teammate in Kobbe, will be making their way back to Worlds.
Honestly, it's incredible. And I cannot imagine how good it feels for the young blood, the newer players, for a man like Kobbe, and especially for Vizicsacsi. We'll hear from him soon, but it's an incredible moment for Splyce. And obviously the gauntlet is not yet done. The battle for seeding is important. We talk about qualifying for Worlds, how great that must feel, but coming in as second seed guarantees you a spot in the regular group stage, gives you a shot to make it into the brackets. And I think that's the thing that all teams look at. It's not about making it out of plans. It's about making it to the best of fives. That is something that any European can be proud of. But obviously, if you're sitting at home, it's time. Kia player of the game. Series, rather. LOL Esports on Twitter. So all 3 games, who do you think stood out? Vizicsacsi, Xerxe, Kobbe.
I'm going to say Xerxe. I'm kind of looking at Kobbe right now. I feel like he was super solid. Obviously, many fans are going to be like, well, where's Humanoid? Now, Humanoid, to be fair, he had one great Akali game, but you probably don't even remember what champion he played in game 1. So I'm not saying he did nothing this series. I think he had a great series overall. But in the Camille, we didn't really get to see much from it, to be honest. We saw it do a couple cool things. It definitely outscaled in a side lane, but I wasn't...
It never really got to go to a side lane. We never got to see it go to a side lane. Like, you know, because for a while, I believe Gnar into Camille was something that people would pick, and it would eventually outscale 2-3 items.
Yeah, but again, I'm not trying to take anything away from Humanoids, but I do think that in terms of the overall series, I think that we really felt Kobbe's presence pretty much in every single game. So he was one of the standout players.
Absolutely. And the thing that you have to remember is that while it's easy to be excited for Splyce right now, they are facing a Titanic opponent in Fnatic tomorrow. So looking at those little things that can be improved is still an important part of the process, even if today feels like a day to celebrate for Splyce.
So we're going to have a look back at the final fight that ultimately decided the game between Schalke and Splyce, brought to you by Alienware. So as we can see, Schalke rushed the Baron down, and in this situation, you're thinking, okay, Schalke just need to get out and, you know, run back to their base, reset. Now they can take control over the map, but Splyce do not give them that opportunity. Kobbe finds that first pick, and Schalke starts to divide. They start to get separated, and this is where Splyce take advantage of. Upset gets too close to the wall. A great flash body slam coming out from Xerxe, gets the damage down to allow Kobbe to follow up and secure the kill. With the GA coming through on the Olaf, they're able to melt him out as well. And now it's just me. Of course, an interview is being set up on stage right now with Drakos and the wonderful man in Vizicsacsi. We'll get to hear from them in a second, but what a fantastic series between the two teams. You don't need to hear from me anymore. Let's send it over to the man that will finally go to Worlds. It's Vizicsacsi.
Thank you very much, Vedius. It's my pleasure to be joined by Vizicsacsi. Complete dominance, 3-0, qualifying for Worlds. What did it take for you to get to this moment?
I mean, we came into this series thinking even if it takes like 6 hours or something, but we win it, then it's worth it anyways, and we get to go to Worlds, and that's all that matters. I've been fighting for this for 5 years straight, and this is finally the moment I got it, so it's really, really nice.
I said it earlier on the broadcast, but 339 games. I mean, what a road. You've been so close so many times. I mean, you've been on second or third best teams in the LEC for as long as you've been here, and you're finally there now. Are you even thinking about tomorrow? Are you even worried about Fnatic, or is it just all eyes on Worlds at this point for you?
Actually, I wasn't thinking about tomorrow yet, but now that you mentioned it, we still have a best of 5 to go. So, yeah, we will have to focus on tomorrow's game, obviously, and that decides a lot if we go to play-ins or group stage. And I think we will have good chances tomorrow.
And as much as I want to just continue celebrating this like fantastic moment that is you making it to Worlds, I do have to ask, what changed for you guys today? What was different? Because yesterday it was 5 long, grueling games, and today, outside of game 3, you just blew them out of the water.
Yeah, I think the only thing that we were lacking is confidence, especially after the series against Rogue, where we got demolished 3-0. And we kind of regained it yesterday because we saw that we can compete with these teams and we can beat them. And coming into today's series, we were just full confidence, knowing that this is our series to take.
Now, looking back at the regular season, you were the team contesting G2, contesting Fnatic. I mean, in second place for a large part of the season. You have to play Fnatic again tomorrow. Does that feel like a close match to you? I think it's safe from an outside perspective to call you the underdogs, but how do you feel about it?
I feel like last time we faced them, it was our game to lose. And I think we won against them once as well during the Summer Split. And Fnatic is always the one that beats us in like best of 5, so we really want to take revenge on them this time.
All right, well, I hope for your sake you get that revenge, get that second seed. A lot on the line tomorrow, but congrats again to you on making World Vizicsacsi a huge moment as we send it over to PGL.